So I was in one Eastern African country, and for them, the government or the Ministry of Education mandated all universities to switch to an online admission system. And it's weird because it was a blanket statement and everyone had to comply.
Yeah.
So you now have students coming to the schools to get lecturers to help them create accounts in order to apply to school.
This is not to brag, but I believe we're the only EdTech company in Ghana that is able to mark Section B. So you're thinking about essays, you're thinking about comprehension. Yeah, so we've been training the AI to be able to mark the essays and then give feedback.
One word to describe the future of learning in Ghana.
I'll say one word, AI.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the future.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I agree.
Welcome to Building Bytes, and where we tell relevant stories about Ghana's digital ecosystem to fuel innovation and drive growth in our digital ecosystem. So this show is brought to you by Insights Lab with production support of Aptel Academy and shots in the Aptel Academy studios. Before we get into our discussion, Building Bytes now airs on MX24 on is it Wednesdays or Thursdays? On Thursdays, 8 p.m.
to
8 to 9 p.m. Yeah, and on Sundays from 9 p.m.
7 to 8.
From 7 to 8. Okay, so Thursdays
8 to
9, Sundays
7 to 8.
7 to 8. Okay, so you have like 2 amazing hours of catching up on Building Bytes on your main TV station. So on this episode, we are going to zoom in on one of the most critical sectors of our future, which will be on educational technology. We know that educational technology space have had a lot of interesting experiences, from it being one of the slowest growing spaces in Africa, probably I'll classify, not just Ghana, and also one of the sectors that has been found difficult to monetize. But I believe with our expertise here, or the experts here, we would delve deep into it and find out what makes that the situation, or how we can change that onto a better course. But before we get into that, I want to find out what happened in tech. So Puga, what happened in tech?
Okay, so this week on What's Happening in Tech, Hoptel aims African expansion with the appointment of 2 new advisory council members. So basically, they're appointing Simon Pauly and Majori Saint Lots. So they come with Simon comes with over 30 years of experience working across Africa, and Majori also comes with about 20 years of experience working in various company across Africa and various industry. They've helped a bunch of companies to expand across Africa, including a bunch of companies expand across Africa. So basically that's it. I don't know your thoughts. Hoptel is going it's expanding to other African country. What are your thoughts? Any comments?
Okay, I think to me, I think it's amazing. It's always great to see Ghanaian companies go beyond our borders and then expand. It gives us in the tech space something to look at in the future.
Awesome. Caleb, do you have any?
Yeah, I think I don't know whether this is going to be Hoptel's second attempt to go out.
It
of
will be their second attempt.
second attempt.
Hopefully their last attempt.
No,
I mean they conquer the market and they
I don't think it should be their last. They said some will fall 7 times and rise up, so maybe.
I mean, I'm wishing them all the best. So
and I think the experts considered because across mobile, telecom, logistics, e-commerce, and other, they're in the fields they work in. So I'm sure they'll figure something out. And
I think they're basically a different company from the Hoptel we knew the last time they did the African expansion. So I think maybe they have more things to succeed as opposed to the last time they endeavored into the African market. So wishing them all the best on that front. Yeah, so the second news item, I think probably we all heard of it. Government is to merge Telecel and AT Ghana. Basically, they say AT's both of the companies are hemorrhaging tens of millions of Ghana cedis or dollars. So they're merging them. I mean, for me, the question is, would that solve the problem? Would it make them competitive? I think we had Eric in Sako back then when they were merging Ethel and Tigo. we had him on the show, I think last year, the beginning of last year, and he asked the same question: will it solve the problem? And it's clearly didn't. And we are here again, merging, and two institutions that were merged before to a third one. So that's my question. Will it make them competitive? Well, what's your thoughts?
I mean, like Eric's question, I think it still stands today. What's the basis of the merger? Unless maybe they want to come up with AT&T, but I don't. I hope like we solve some of these fundamental issues, because it is, if we solve it, what happens is that we can use it in other places. I think it's not only Method to go and Telecel are the only ones suffering. I mean, Ghana Post is still suffering. A lot of governmental institutions, agencies or institutions are facing some of these challenges. How do we solve it? I don't think the best approach is just merging and trying to make it look smaller, like how Ghana Seed has ended up being smaller, but we know it's not doing well. But there are things we should solve, and I hope people who are being paid for that should think critically into that.
Yeah.
For me, my thoughts on this, I think apart from just merging two companies, I think we need to really do a diagnostic of what the actual problem across the country is, and then figure out what we need to do. Now, when it comes to the telecommunication space, there's a lot of costs in terms of the infrastructure. So, and I'm guessing that's why Airtel, Tigo, 80 was losing money. But if we need to get government support in, we get government support in. But when it comes to the management, I think that government should take its hands from management and let a private individual, of course, with some checks and balances, so that they don't have just a capitalist mindset, manage it efficiently. That's what I think.
Awesome.
In another sense, I'm also thinking of the jobs. What's going to happen? Massive job loss.
They mentioned no one would lose their jobs. At least
That's
what I saw. That's what I saw.
I think from my end, I actually did my national service at Airtel, so I just look at it from afar. I would say they gave me my look into how technology and stuff works like 14 years ago. So I'm just looking at it from afar. So let's see how it goes. I mean, we saw with Tigo now, with Telecel as well. So we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah. On the sidebar, I think we mentioned that it seems Tigo, we later became Airtel Tigo, was a training ground for amazing people. And we are yet to have that conversation, why they are able to produce the people, but the people are not able to
run it in-house.
Awesome. So that's all for what's happening in tech this week.
All right. Thank you, Poga. So on what's happening in AI, I mean, the last time we spoke about how a company was bought, which was valued about $18 billion, trying to acquire another company for $34.5 billion. That was between Perplexity and Google. That's Google Chrome. This week, another interesting one comes up. Atlassian is acquiring the browser company and an AI company, browser company called Arc, or with a product called Arc, for $610 million, all cash, pre-revenue, pre-everything, unless pre-products. I mean, users. So they have users and products, but no revenue. But they're acquiring them for $610 million cash. I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Like how insightful that can be, even though we don't see that in Ghana.
I mean, that's the space that we are in now, where all the big companies want to have a foot in the AI race. So it's going to be an acquisition spree, whether it's talent, whether it's a company, whether it's an idea. So I think they are going all out. And I think probably right after this phase, then we'll start seeing maturity in this space, because for the AI space, currently everything is changing. There's nothing stable. So I wish them all the best. I wish them all the best,
So just to touch on what he's saying, it's either you're coming for the talent or the tech itself. So it's interesting. Everybody wants to be the first to get to AGI, artificial general intelligence. I mean, Meta is calling it super intelligence. So if you have the money and you can buy your way to win, then I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
In that same light, Oracle also expands into AI, and at the close of business or close of stock market change, signal a 300 billion increase in stock. whilst people claim there's nothing much has changed in Oracle.
Yeah. Their founder is now the world's
There was
richest
a
person. Yeah, and thoughts on that. I think that's my correct. I believe in my correct a little bit because and you might lose the first spots because the gap is just about 20 billion or so. But yeah, my general thoughts on this AI acquisition spree and valuation is it looks like we are in the face of a bubble, as you said. People want to dominate the markets. The companies are being valued, and people are throwing money at things just in the chase to like, I need to get this. I don't want anybody else to get it. Mark Zuckerberg reportedly gave somebody $1 billion worth of offer to just come on board, and it's unheard of, and it looks like you're in a bubble, and hopefully it doesn't tip over where this thing all comes crashing. But yeah, let's see how that goes.
And I don't know, compared to the crypto space, I think AI feels more real. Than the cryptos. I believe even if the market should mature or be stable, it will not dip that much. It will not dip that much.
I think OpenAI did something really good with ChatGPT because AI was something that was in the background. It was for the geeks. Now it became readily available, and everybody wants to be in front of the customer, right? So it's visible, it's touchable. So it's more real than crypto.
All right.
No, I'll argue with that, but
we'll keep that conversation. So we are going directly into our conversation. We believe education has been experiencing certain interesting changes from what we used to call e-learning platforms to virtual classrooms to AI teaching tools. EdTech is reshaping how Ghanaians and people across Africa are learning. And today we are glad to have two amazing people, Daniel Botchway, an education consultant and a digital learning strategist, passionate about rethinking how technology empowers students and educators in Ghana, and Senyo Mawuli Jiagge.
Very good.
CEO of Kuno Tech, a platform driving access and innovation in EdTech, and a leader shaping the future of learning for African classrooms. So glad to have you, Daniel and Senyo. To start with, maybe give us a brief intro from your own self on what you do and how you do that.
So, So I'm Senyo Mawuli Jiagge. So usually people don't get the last name right, but then you did very well. So I have to applaud that. So I'm a co-founder and CEO of Kuno Tech. We're a data-driven EdTech company building AI-powered software and hardware. So I actually have one of our hardware, products I'm wearing right now. We had been collecting data on learning and other things for a very long time in anticipation, of AI and other things. So we build not just one product, but then several to solve several different problems in the educational space. So, so far, so good. We've been learning over the last few years, implementing our solutions and ideas into the Ghanaian market, and then looking to see how we can break, into different markets as well.
Wow. Awesome. Daniel, what about you?
So I'm Daniel Botchway. I'm currently with one of the leading private universities in Ghana. I work in the IT department and I lead the management information systems unit. Now, what I do is to basically handle the key educational software systems that we use in the institution. So basically everything from admissions to classroom, that's an LMS, learning management systems, student information systems, and all the ad hoc software systems that come with it. Awesome. I've been doing that for the past 10 years. So.
Wow, that's amazing. By the way, both experts have been in the industry for more than 10 years as we speak now, so very deep knowledge in there. But coming into, starting from a very personal side, how did you get into tech or EdTech in this space? What happened? Anyone?
Okay. So, I think I have a extensive, way into how I came into EdTech. So I actually grew up in Australia. So I moved to Australia when I was 2, with my aunt, my mom's older sister. So then they took me in whilst, my parents were finding their feet. So I experienced that educational system where at that point in time, moving from, the mid 1990s into the early 2000s, there was a lot of computers in our class. So just having that experience was something, very interesting to me. I came back to Ghana in, the year 2000 towards the end, and everything was just different. It's paper, books, things like that, where we were learning how, to do math and things in gamified, modules in Australia. Back in Ghana, it was like you're doing everything on the book. So coming from a middle income family, I did have a laptop and then computers at home to learn. But then, other friends in the class didn't have those things. So I always felt that if, I grew up, I could do something where my scenario wouldn't be the same scenario with everybody else. Like, we could try and make education accessible to all. So that's how I got into to EdTech.
Insightful. Nene, what about you?
So I would say a similar story. I don't have the Australian background because I've been here. But I mean, so I think this was about the time that, right after BC, almost everyone that I knew and everyone before me was going to NNIT.
I remember.
I'm sure you remember that time. Yeah. So right after BC, everyone was just going. It was the next thing. And it was computer class, vacation class, all of those things. So that's where my interest in technology actually came from. Right. And it was quite interesting because I was exposed to this tool and this machine that you could do a lot of things with. But it was only segmented to one period if you go back to school in a day, where you have just a few minutes, go into the computer lab and play with it. Basically, that's what it is. But then I go into SS, no computer experience at all. But we always had one teacher, and I'm sure it's the case across multiple secondary schools, where you'd always have to submit your document, and they are the computer guys have to go into the system. And it was weird because you couldn't do this, But when it came to the results, we then had to go to an internet cafe, right, and then check your things. Then I moved into the university, and the university, so I went to HSC University, and from day one, we were introduced to computers, right? So every work that we were doing, every submission had to be done on computers. And I realized that, okay, I was lacking in typing. I didn't know how to type well.
10 words per minute or something.
How to get to understand, okay, what's this. So it was my full, it was the first time I was really introduced to the IT space, right? Working on a day-to-day with computers. I had a desktop back at home, but I didn't have a laptop. So you had to make use of the computer lab. And I had in mind, the previous experience I had where it's just 1 hour or so in a day. But this was open and you should be able to go there and do your work. All assignments were expected. So it was from that background that I realized that there's really, really a shift. There's, there are the institutions that give their students the opportunity to encounter the tech that they need to do their job. And then there are those that need to figure out, paper and pen. And I realized that there's something that needs to be done, for Ghana or the African continent as a whole to shift well into the technology space. Yeah. Awesome. That's my intro.
Awesome. So it's clear, I mean, you got an awakening that there was a lack somewhere, or there was a better treatment somewhere. And for you, how did you get to know that you could solve such a challenge in, like, whether in the Ghana's tech ecosystem or Ghana's educational system or Africa's educational system? At what point do you realize that maybe these experiences can give you a leap into solving some of these challenges?
Okay, so I think for us, the main thing was I looked at it from my own, personal experiences when preparing for BC as well, where everything was, still on the paper-based things, where if we're doing like past questions or things like that, you'd have maybe a group of 4 friends would go through was it like Acula or something? And then, would write 1 to 40 and then, take those things, and then put the right answer, and then you share it across, and then everybody has to mark, and then you see where your faults were. But the thing was, it wasn't quick. We didn't get enough feedback. And then we didn't even have somebody to guide us after that because everything was like rushed. So it's like you couldn't really prepare on your own. You also needed a teacher to sort of guide you. The teacher doesn't have time. So I felt that, exams per se, if you don't prepare well, you're going to fail, and then you don't get your first choice school. And pressure from parents is like, you have to do well, you have to get your first choice school. So I knew that if we could build something, there's so many brilliant kids around who just needed a tool to use to actually realize their potential and then get into those spaces. I mean, because we are in the space, you go to the private schools, some of them have, access to the infrastructure. So it's easy just putting your software into their hands. But you go to the government schools, and, recently we've been doing a lot of that with the government schools, where you go in, the misconception is that, this is a public school, so they're not too brilliant. But the funny thing is, when it's time for the BEC, you have a lot of parents from private schools actually taking their students out, or their kids out from the private schools, and then sending them to the government schools. And it's a trend that has been happening for like 2-3 years, because they feel that they prepare them better. And when we start giving them our tools, they're doing very well, because they know the things. I mean, they know the fundamentals. So then we just enhance the experience for them. So it's interesting that, once you build something and you don't limit it to, okay, this demographic, because they have the infrastructure, then that's it. There are amazing ways where our solution has been used in these public schools, and you just marvel at how very resourceful the teachers and the kids are once they have access to these things. So our thought was, let's build for all demographics and then see how it goes. And then, I mean, we're at where we are now because of how we put things together.
Awesome.
Can you explain a little bit how Kuno works? What does it do for a student, for somebody who doesn't know?
Okay, so Kuno, so I'll touch on the Kuno exams, because so we have 4 different products. The Kuno exams is an AI powered exam simulator. So the same way I was talking about 4 friends sharing their books, and so it does all that. It's we do the section A and the section B. So this is not to brag, but I believe we're the only EdTech company in Ghana that is able to mark section B. So you're thinking about essays, you're thinking about comprehension. So we've been training the AI to be able to mark the essays and then give feedback. So ideally, most companies would target the section A, because like it's automated. If 1 is A, it's A. If it's 2, it's But then subjective side is always the most difficult thing. So for us, when we're rolling out the Kuno exams, we really hammered on, we have to get the exams side right, in the sense that students would say, yes, I can do the section A, but section B is where the problem is. And if my teacher doesn't have time for me, I can go and write anything in the hall because I felt this is what I saw in the book. But if we actually simulate the exams itself, where you can take this exam, let's say starting in September, where most students have graduated from Form 2 and they're going to Form 3, and then you have like 8 months to prepare. If I'm doing section B consistently, I'm getting feedback. It's being marked, and it marks, so the whole section A, section B within 30 to 50 seconds. If your internet is good. So it marks that within 30 to 50 seconds. You see all your results for the section A. Then you come to the section B, where that's where the major thing is. So then a child would see, okay, what is osmosis? Maybe if osmosis has 6 different explanations, so far as you have one of the 6 there, we've trained the AI to be able to, mark that and then go through. The other thing we also did was for it to overlook some type of spelling mistakes as well, because then it happens when the examiners are doing that as well. So just giving them that whole process where I can do section A, section B, and then have the results, and then have a progress tracker over a period of time. So we have for the full 10 subjects, and then for individual subjects as well. So science, maybe you took 10 over, a month. So it strikes your average, and then it'll show you if you're actually ready to do that. And then if not, we send that information back to the owners of schools or the teachers, so that this week we're coming to improve upon science, this aspect itself. So then that's what we did with the Kuno exams.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's interesting.
That's amazing. Maybe I'll come back on it. But I think, do you do anything for senior high?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a big market there looking at the NovDeck exams that is those who retake the exam, get better results for certain programs.
Exactly.
And I feel like there's a big opportunity there. Recently, asking someone to check out how much it costs, I was surprised. I don't think the price is meant for average or poor.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, the thing is, the guarantee is that when you come and rewrite, you get.
But there's nothing like backing that.
Yeah,
there's nothing backing that.
Yeah. So we actually do for Wasi and then Novdek as well.
Right.
So, but it took longer to train the AI for that because you have so many other subjects and then also the technicalities, the terms, and then the English. It has to be a bit more mature. So currently the team is, and the funny thing is, not funny, but then we have junior developers. Our junior developing team are all female.
Wow.
So we really hammered on that because tech should be for everyone. So it's not. We actually did the interviews and stuff, but then the main thing is these ones stood out. So 5 in total, they stood out in terms of how they related to the questions we asked, and then also what they saw in what we were trying to build. So they kill themselves like how we kill ourselves in the office. 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., they're cranking it, seriously. So, I mean, the future is bright for women in tech.
Awesome. Then, how about you? When did you realize that this could be solving a major challenge for medication in the tech?
So for me, I'll look at education, but outside of the classroom. And there's a lot of gap in terms of management of records. And that's one of the key things that I focus on. Now, one of the major things that you realize is there isn't a structured way of passing down data or even storing data. And in fact, even in dealing with, when schools are dealing with parents, it's still an old way, right? There are a few institutions that I've worked with that have, set up a system. So they send an electronic report card, all of those things. And it really just takes a good understanding of what's available and the tools that are available so you could set it up. I'll give one other example. This also EdTech, but this in the agric space. So I don't know if this is right.
That's right.
So we worked on this NGO-led project where they were looking at micro learning, but then this was for farmers in the rural area. So text-based learning, interactive voice, and all of that. And it's basically the same experience or the setup process when you are setting up for a university, secondary school, if they are setting up a learning management system. But there's a different approach, and the audience in that particular situation is very, very key, where you need to break things down. You need to look at the technology that's available to them. So you were talking about, schools that have the infrastructure and those that don't have. When you're looking at those in the rural area, you're looking at the barest minimum. The barest minimum technology. Nothing fancy. You're not thinking about iOS apps, right? You must have a solid background, but an easy way of distributing to the technology that they have. So outside of the classroom, there's still a lot of gaps that we need to look at. And that's one of the things that we've worked on.
Okay. So also from your experience, it's also finding out how technology is being used in educational sense. What were some points that you saw the use of technology from your experiences that you felt this was like a very unique way of using it, even though maybe our countries or institutions might not be there, but you felt there was something interesting there that you never knew that could be done.
So if I was I think you mentioned in Australia the gamification. That's something that I recently got to know with it's actually a crèche, kindergarten, lower level school in South Africa. And for them, their entire learning experience is about gamification. So they take their time, so this was at a conference that I went to, and I had the opportunity to engage with them. They have this concept of gamifying every lecture. So in fact, even with the UI, the look and feel, the points, all of those things. For the school, it's a lot of work to get that done. But then the impact it has on the students is really, really wild. And then you contrast that to, most of the, let me say the majority of the schools we have and their interaction even with computers. There's this funny social media clip that has been going. You draw the whole computer on the blackboard. You label all the parts on the blackboard, and we are worlds apart. But I don't think we are far away. I don't think we are far away. What I'm really concerned about is the multiple initiatives that comes up, on a national level that doesn't go through. And I'm sure people probably will touch on that later, laptops for teachers, laptops for students. So I'll leave that for probably for another time. But yeah,
it's interesting. Maybe not much of a challenge because probably are better than some countries. And we will pride ourselves in that because sometimes some of our projects are interesting that we are giving out free laptops to teachers that should be having that. If they are passed through a university or a teaching training college or anywhere, that should have been like a tool to them, like a mobile phone. But it seems we face some of these challenges, and I'm curious to know, where have you hit some of these walls personally to realize that you want to make this happen, but maybe this headmaster, this infrastructure, this policy is limiting you. Can you share some of those experiences with them?
Yeah, so for us, we've had many pushback. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
I can imagine.
It's crazy. So I'd say we launched the company, and we're building in stealth from, let's say, 2016 to about like 2018. Testing. I actually used to go and sit in, classrooms. To see how lessons would go on and see what tools we could build, So even just to come and sit in the classroom, it's like, you're 20 something, what are you doing in this classroom? So then you actually build a thing and then you come back and say, we have this. The adoption, even for teachers, it's like at that time where AI was nothing. Like you're coming to take our jobs, things like that. And then the owners of schools, they're also thinking it's too expensive. We haven't even talked about money. I'm like, let me pilot my thing in your school. We're not talking about money. I want to see if it works. So that's one thing. And then infrastructure is always going to be a challenge in Africa. So infrastructure is one thing where you have some schools with computer labs. And then some that don't have. Funny thing is, I think over the last few years, there's some schools who do bring your own device. So that also helps us. So we've worked with a school that, does the bring your own device. So then you have the kids bringing their own tablets. Some bring phones, and then, some have the laptops there. They have internet. So the only thing is, this session, connect to Kuno and then use it. You get it. So you'd have... Because they don't really want to set up the computer lab, the other point of this thing is bring your own stuff. So then the parents who already willingly want to buy it for their kids are like, send it to school, but then take care of it. So then the other places where you don't have these things, it's always a challenge. So you'd hope that even if you introduce it to them, they can go and use it at home, because some of them actually have smartphones and stuff at home, even with the government schools as well. So you have them with... Android has penetrated the market, so the Technos, the iTels, all those things, they use it at home. So still, it gives us that gateway through. It's just, this is the product that has come into the school, this is how much you're going to pay, but then you can use it at home, So infrastructure is always going to be a challenge, but then we try and, mitigate all those things. But it's been cray for the last few years. No doubt. No doubt.
What personal...
So for me, I don't know if I have a personal story, but it was a story that I could relate to. So I was in one Eastern African country, and for them, the government or the Ministry of Education mandated all universities to switch to an online admission system. And it was crazy because their target audience, which are the graduate from senior high schools, didn't know. This was for some people, it was their first time interacting with a digital tool. And it's weird because it was a blanket statement and everyone had to comply. So you now have students coming to the schools to get lecturers to help them create accounts in order to apply to school. And I think I've had some similar experience. It wasn't with the tool per se, but the very, very first time that I was looking at admission to, one of the first things that came up was payments. So this was back when, people knew about MTN mobile money, but people didn't trust it, right? It was back in the day where if your phone is missing, people thought their wallet and their money is also
it's also drawing the money for their account.
So it was a very, 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 very tough period. I think when it comes to the kind of progress Ghana as a whole has made in terms of technology, we've actually really, really come far. Right? We've come far. We have payment systems. We have databases, hosting service providers that have pitched even on the continent that you can connect to. There are policies that are also coming up. So we've come far, but there's still a gap where people still think of technology as just an entertainment tool. We need to do a lot more work in changing that perspective. That this is something that you can actually learn with, right? So when you do that change, then it means that we need to be looking at just digital literacy skills from the very beginning. It's not probably in the university you're not asking A or B or you know. So there's that digital it's not just, it should be hands-on. That's what technology is. You know, for technology you should be experiencing it. You learn, you break something, you fix it. So there's a lot more work that needs to be done on that lower level, right?
Awesome. So I don't know, I mean, like the Eastern country you mentioned, and maybe in
it's actually in Tanzania.
I'm just thinking, it seems the idea of like internet cafe was a big solution to the challenge we faced at that time. And maybe for whatever is happening now, like driving digital literacy skills, even if educational institutions are finding difficult, can we model the ideas of like a kind of internet cafe, that middleman that can provide a computer for a fee and use, because we pay for extra classes, we pay for books. Do you think there's that room to create something like that, whether for universities or primary schools or government schools, anyone?
So for us, I can't talk in depth about it, but something huge on our angle is coming like that. I'm sure eventually you guys will I'll make it known to you guys, but then we are targeting something like that, you know, where sort of like satellite places where you can have access to these things nationwide. You get it. For me, when I'm talking to people about how far we want our products to go, or even EdTech companies in Ghana, I always think about the infrastructure and then the distribution. You know, these two things they go hand in hand. So infrastructure, it could be here in Accra where it's, you know, dominance, but then you don't have too many people having access. But then you have satellite places where you could just seamlessly walk in, and then, you know, to other, you know, parts of Ghana as well, all the 16 regions. So there's something in the pipeline, very, very, I mean, today it was conversation around that, but then I can't talk too much about it yet, but you'll hear soon.
So I think a few institutions, especially primary schools, some basic high schools, they are taking on the task of handling this. So they're actually solving this with the whole introduction of these term classes. You know, we have a lot more hubs, you know, doing these term classes, whether on a Saturday, extra class period or vacation period. So there's an introduction, but then it's limited to those in the city area, right? That's the big one. And it makes sense because, of course, in the city area here in Accra, Kumasi, we have good internet penetration. When you go outside into the rural space, anything that you want to think about in EdTech, you must solve the underlying infrastructure. The computing equipment, internet for access, and then the resources, data, examples, all of those things. It's something that we need to look at it holistically. There are, of course, modern satellites, internet technologies. It's something that we could look at. But if you also just look at the telecom space, we could actually leverage on not just the mobile network infrastructure that we have, but build on top of the data and the quality of data that they provide. Because if we solve that fundamental problem, then innovation can also go into these particular rural areas. So, for instance, we've had several examples of people setting up libraries in buses. It's very similar to just set up a computer lab in a bus or in a truck, and then move it around communities to give them that experience. It's just that initial introduction, get them excited, spark that thing inside of them, and then they can go. But if you have a lab on a wheel and there's no internet, they just get to know the physical
computers,
that's all. But then there's nothing else. So there's an opportunity there, but there's an underlying thing that isn't just EdTech that must be solved first.
I agree.
I remember, I think we had or we hosted a complete pharmacy CEO one time who mentioned that sometimes before you solve a problem, you end up building a whole ecosystem.
Yes,
you have to.
And I think those in the agri-tech, they face it a lot.
It's something that no matter the sector you are in, as long as you're in Ghana or Africa, you would have to solve some of these challenges.
I mean, about interesting idea, I saw this idea where there's this internet on a box, where they had Wikipedia, and a couple of educational videos, on a Raspberry Pi. So I thought it was a very cool idea, and other like content you can access on the internet. So I think it's a very cool idea, something you can implement. I guess on that regard, I just wanted to know if Kuno is offline or it runs online. How does it run?
So because of the AI factor and then the feedback, it's usually online. In the past, when we had a very comprehensive product, we used to cache some of the things so that it could be run offline as well. But then now, I mean, where the world is now, the feedback, the instant marking and things like that, we have to run it online. So
and I'm guessing for you it's cheaper and it's easier to manage and maintain. For now. But you have to think about internet across the world.
That's the thing. So it's like to access or if we really want to, the distribution thing, if we really want to go across the whole nation, the internet, we have to solve that thing as well, so that other people can have access to what we're providing. So there's even a funny it's not funny per se, but then a very nice young gentleman approached me on LinkedIn, and he actually was teaching these juvenile, how do they call them? So they're in prison for very young. So he wanted to prepare them for BC and other things. So he approached me, and I thought it was a brilliant idea, because people aren't really paying attention to those things. But then to him, it was like, the main thing was they couldn't have access to internet in
the prison.
The classroom. So then he has to send like a MiFi or something. So he used it, and I know he's using it, but then you can't take pictures of these things. But then it was great in the sense that these are people who are just
cut off from
but they also, I mean, the main thing, usually you call them correction centers. So ideally they're correcting their behavior, so they shouldn't be cut off from education at all. So I thought it was a brilliant idea, and having our product be used in that sense, I thought it was amazing. But he solved the internet aspect. I'm like, it's not just in Accra where you assume everybody has internet, but then places like this, it's mandatory that they don't have. So then how about the rural areas as well? So we have to solve for that as well, or partner people to approach these places.
It's interesting we don't sometimes focus much on some of this I would say disadvantage challenge people, not in the way we know challenge us to be. So a lot of questions.
But, in terms of opportunity, one of the things that I was thinking that we could do again through the telcos, when we wanted social media, Facebook specifically, to become on. The telecom companies were allowing
free data
for that videos without videos. If you want to view a video, then you pay. Right? But there's something that we could look at, because they have done that work of laying the infrastructure. Of course, it's for telecom, voice, all of that. But we could look at some kind of a partnership, and I don't know. I'm hoping that they get to hear this.
We hope. All the measures you get to hear.
So
I was also thinking of whether you could share a particular situation or a specific example where you saw an impact of EdTech on a student, a parent, a lecturer, a teacher, and how how that was significant and what shift it caused beyond them to even their colleagues or other people around them. If you share any example.
Okay, so I'll go back towards the COVID period. So it also aligns with the barriers.
Okay.
So I remember just the week before they were about to close, the schools down. We actually approached one school, and then they said, "Nah, it's too expensive. We don't want this. Blah blah blah." It's a white elephant, things like that. And the next week they closed down the school. So then they called like, yeah, forget what I said. The prior week. What I said the prior week. But then could you come in and then train us on how to use your product?
Yeah.
Some of our teachers will be at home, but then would have to use like what are you suggesting?
Yeah.
So then Zoom was the craze at that time.
Yes.
So then would train them using the Zoom, and initially they wanted to use like WhatsApp. I was like, the WhatsApp thing, you can share information, but you can do exercises on our products and then have it being marked and things like that. So we actually trained them, and the feedback was great. The teacher was like, "Oh, we didn't know something like this existed." I was like, if it wasn't for COVID, your headmaster would have paid for this. So the parents too were very happy. Like our kids are home, they're engaged, doing something, and then they're learning at specific times. And then the teachers were trained very well because it was that period where you have to stay at home. You get it. Yeah. And then we were driving to the school and then, setting things up, and then the teachers would join in. And the sort of response we got from the teachers, these were teachers that you could actually tell that they're passionate about what they're doing, So they'll tune in, they'll get the process on how to use the stuff. And then if in case one child couldn't come or couldn't use it for the day, how they would encourage the parents to actually give them access to a phone to take the exercise or things like that. So for us, that period was COVID. I would say COVID was a blessing in disguise for us because then it also pushed our product, far and wide. Then there was a real use case for it during that period. Those who bought into it before that period, they didn't have the problems. But those who were like, they were taking their time with it, were quick to act, come in, let's train. If you're caught on the road by police, just beg them that learning must go on. So I think it was a very good experience. It taught us a lot as well, where technology can do a lot for education, but then you also have to make it in a way where it's accessible and easy to use because you can build the most amazing things, but then when it's put in front of the children, even parents who you would assume that they understand what if it's too complicated, it spoils the whole user experience, and somebody will just get bored of the whole EdTech thing at once. So we learned a lot from that, and then I'm sure the stakeholders also learned from that as well.
I don't have an elaborate story like that, but I know of one person that I helped. So the person, same rural background experience, came to the university and then brought their failed paper application, helped them set them up, created an email for them, all of those things, because they didn't have that. And 4 years out of university, they are doing much well. Some, I know of 2 people that are into computer science, software developers, things like that. So I see the transformation. I will not say it's specific to just the EdTech per se, but exposing people to the tools that they need to use in this particular day and age in which we are. And so that's what I'll share.
Awesome. So as we get close to wrapping up, maybe I have like 2 more questions for both of you. But the first one will be, what has been, your hardest moment you faced in the Ghanaian tech space, and what opportunity has it unlocked, or did it unlock, or did you see there?
The hardest is always how to monetize your product. Is always hard. People see education generally as a social impact thing. So if you're building things in that space, it's still like, yeah, I mean, how much should it cost? You know, or can it be free? You get it? So it's always going to be a challenge where now you have to adapt. I mean, we in the beginning were like, yeah, we'll build this 500 Ghana cedis, you know. that was our thought process. The market will show you. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So then you have to come down to the level. Like some would say, I remember going for a PTA, and we used to do a lot of PTAs as well. So they would ask like, so if I pay this amount of money and I don't use it as much, does that mean my money is running or something? So it's funny, like, so. And I think they were trying to relate it to when you buy credits.
Yeah, credits.
Yeah. You know, when you buy credits, like, I'm not using it, so like, what happens to it? You know. So then we started adapting to the customer.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it's sort of, you know, improves the usage. People come back because in the past you'd have one-time use and then that's it. And one of our newest products, 2 days ago, we had a call on how to monetize that one because now we've just been piloting in different schools. So this is it's called Kuno Storytime. So basically, it's an AI reading diagnostic tool. So it's aimed at helping pronunciations, trying to identify maybe if you have any, you know, learning deficient like dyslexia or something like that. How quickly you read, because you'd have a 10-year-old reading at a 5-6-year-old level.
Yeah.
So we gave it out to a lot of people to use, and they're using it, and it's gamified as well. So then you have the streaks as well, like how you have in Duolingo. So you read one story, then it picks that, then you unlock achievements and things like that. And this, you know, it's my head of engineering who is working with the junior developers. And the funny thing is, you know, when you think about gamification, it's always like male or like guys who are into
game the game.
But these girls did the whole gamification on their own. And I'm like, they presented the thing to me. I'm like, you guys play like PS5, you know? And it's just like from their own experiences, you know? And then they made a thing really good. So we give this product out, people are using it, and my head of operations, you know, she is leading that charge where she'll go into a school, we have this, can you use it with, and it's for like the whole school. So now we're trying to monetize it. So we're looking at per story, how much will you charge for that? And because like the numbers are a lot, you could say you could even charge like 50 pesos for a story because you have people using it. And the gamification brings them back. You know, because then you have the leader table and things like, I want to, you know, overtake this guy on the leader. And then you have different schools, and I don't know who this is, but I know the name. And I just want to be on top of him, you know, or ahead of him on the leader table. So then they come back. So it's going to be, to me, I believe it's going to be easy to monetize. It's just getting it into the hands of, you know, the people. So it's interesting how, you know, you just have to adapt to what the market is saying or what your potential customers or clients are saying, because the purchasing power is not really there. It's not really there. But then if you look at it from, if I can have so many people, 100,000 people using, and I'm charging them this amount per usage, you know. So we're doing a lot of pay as you go now. In the past, we used to think, subscription. But Ghanaians don't like it's a foreign concept. Ghanaians don't like subscription. So if I subscribe and it's dead, the next month I'm not coming back. You know. So then now a lot of pay as you go, or then you're purchasing the thing outright. So like a subject, you're purchasing for the year, and then I'm done. So it's interesting how, you know, things have shaped up, but then we're adapting, especially when it comes to purchasing power and then, you know, pricing our products.
Awesome. That's good. What's the question? The hardest moment and the opportunity you see in that, the hardest moment you faced in EdTech or the Ghanaian tech space. The opportunity you see in that.
So I think I've shared that already. I don't know.
Maybe just
so I'll say the hardest moment in the, I'll not say in the EdTech space specifically, but in the software technology space. And I think two things actually. The first one is when you speak with a lot of Ghanaian owned businesses, they do have a lot of trusts for more foreign companies. So there's that low, I don't know, we kind of come to the table with the lowest kind of reputation.
Yeah.
So that's something that we need to work on, because I think there are lots of brilliant companies that are really doing a good job now, and the story should be making waves now. Most people try to compare what is built locally with what they've seen or heard. They expect the same kind of functionality, but then they don't expect the same price. Right? So it's a weird mix. So that's the first one. So if you're able to position yourself to have that kind of track record, and in order to get the track record, I think just like Kuno is doing, you just have to start by putting yourself out there and do a lot of free stuff. That's the only way to get the credibility. And I think there should be that shift in perspective. I think our technology ecosystem is maturing. Fintech is doing phenomenally well. I think we should see the EdTech, agri-tech, and other spaces coming in. And the most important thing for me that is still a challenge is there's a lot more mobile penetration than people have in physical devices. So it means we always have to customize what we have. So for instance, if you speak to an institution at school and you ask them, or you want to give them particular software, one of the key things that they always ask is there a mobile version for this? If there's no mobile version for it, you cut down probably half of the target audience. So there's still that shift that we need to do in terms of customizing or adapting software to suit our mobile devices.
Awesome. So this will be my last question. I mean, if you are found on a global stage telling the story about Ghanaian EdTech or where you want it to be, what story do you want to tell?
So being in the space, like part of the builders, there's so many brilliant builders in the space. It's just we don't, we go for these conferences, set up in Ghana and outside. And they always say we're building in silos, everybody's building, but then there's so much collaboration that can go on. We just have to identify ourselves. I think there's a lot of push. There's currently a Ghana EdTech alliance. So a very good friend of mine, is leading that charge, and it's just throwing light on builders doing amazing things, and you see it in a lot of these tech hubs that a lot of them are coming up with brilliant ideas, and then AI is actually pushing them to do more. So I want people to know that there are builders here. They shouldn't, the builders themselves, they shouldn't give up on what they're doing. I mean, perseverance is always the key to the game. I always say perseverance with some, a slight hint of delusion as well. So you need those two things to really do well. So so the global stage, that very amazing products are going to come out of Ghana. We personally, we've started, spreading our wings a bit. Back to Tanzania. When I was there in May, I met a co-founder of one of the biggest edtechs in Tanzania, very well funded, and we discussed, a partnership. So I always say, if we want to scale beyond our borders, I don't want to go and set up there. I want to partner. What they're lacking, I can, give them. So they're into like tutoring, using mobiles and to book tutors and things. So then we are bringing the Kuno exams into that space as well. So you can tutor and then run an exam with them. So it's amazing. We've also piloted in Cote d'Ivoire through a how do you call it, a university or polytechnic over there. So there's so many amazing builders in the space. They just need that light to be shined on them, and then you see how great they're doing.
And I kind of agree more. I think for Ghana and in fact Africa to stand on the global stage, we can't run the Silicon Valley mindset where it's competition. If we go the competition route, we are too small. we can't. And I think a lot more collaboration. And I think there are many people, like you said, who are building in silos. I like the initiative with the Africa EdTech Alliance, and those kind of platforms are what we need. Good enough, we have a lot more tech hubs coming up, and I think that should be the strategy, where we have people funding these tech hubs, given the opportunity to showcase what people have built in stealth mode. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
stealth
it's
mode, stealth mode.
Yeah.
They would so, and then just publish it.
Yeah.
And I think that's if government wants to help in any way, if there's any developmental agency that wants help in any way, I think we shouldn't be looking at an individual company.
Yeah.
We should be looking at what can they do together in that particular space.
Yeah.
I think that's
amazing.
collaboration is our way.
Collaboration
is our way.
You know, we did an episode a couple of months back, and we looked at the state of Ghana's tech ecosystem, and we rated EdTech. And I didn't see that at that time. I didn't see much innovation in EdTech, but you know, getting to city and looking at you know, hearing what you're building, I think, you know, is very innovative.
Thank you.
And it's
Thank you so much.
it's I now have you know, my scores has gone a little bit higher than it was before.
Then I've done my job.
You've done a good job. But you mentioned one thing, you're wearing a product. Can you talk a little bit more about it?
Okay, so this we actually partnered. So it's the same collaboration. So we actually partnered with a company from Egypt. So this is something I even want to touch with you. So basically, we're infusing, you know, our software and then their software on this. So this is basically for school. So identification, attendance, and then it also has an e-pass as well. So basically, like for canteens, bookshops, and things like that. So you don't have to carry cash. So I go into the canteen, you know, it's a one-touch thing. If so, we have the card reader, but then also phones as well, NFC, you know, phones. You just touch the back, the payment is done. So I'm thinking about it for like universities and then senior high schools as well. They also has a thing for like school buses. You know, when you let your child go into a school bus, the identity, and then it at least pushes a message to the parent that on the way, he's on the way, and then it gets to this thing and it taps it again, and then, you know, he's on campus. So so this is our foray into so like smart wearables, you know, so hardware. So we've been testing it. I think we got the partnership done in May, and then we've just you know, started testing it. So we want to test with universities and things, and then see if they're really interested in things like that. So as I said, we're not building just one product. We have several, and a lot of people, that's the same thing. A lot of people see what we're doing, you know, on our social media pages, and they're like, you guys have cool things. I'd like to partner with you, because they see that they can expand, or maybe we can do things that can, you know, actually help them, you know, expand as well.
That's cool.
So in closing, I have a lightning round questions for you, about 5 questions in less than 10 seconds. You should give me the answer. The first question is a controversial one, but I'll still ask, what's one EdTech tool you personally use every week?
Not every week, but Canvas. Canvas LMS,
So me, Kuno News.
No,
it picks news from all the news sites, and then, you know, it customizes everything for me. So every morning I use that.
Awesome. Book or app, what's your favorite way to learn something new?
App. Because I can search.
Same app.
Okay. What's the biggest misconception about EdTech in Ghana?
It should be free.
That just the technology will solve the problem.
Interesting. If you had to design one app for Ghanaian teachers, what feature would you start with?
Attendance tracking.
So as teachers complain about marking, you know, marking exercise. So we have something in R&D for that. So we're working on that.
Awesome. One word to describe the future of learning in Ghana.
I'll say one word: AI.
Okay.
That's the future.
It is. I agree.
Awesome. So we as we close, we want to share opportunities. So other opportunities, Mest Africa Challenge is still open if you're building any innovative product or tech products. The Mest Africa Challenge will be a place for you to be part. The deadline is on the 26th of September, and there's a chance to receive up to $50,000 in equity for your company. Blossom Academy is also running a data we'll be running a data hackathon on the 17th and 18th of October in Accra. So if you're interested in using real world data to build things in agri-tech to solve challenges in data for this hackathon, you have a chance to win 5,000 or chance to win a pool of money up to 5,000 euros. And you can apply with the link attached in the description. And more funding and grant opportunities available on the Grant Pilots Committee. So you can join the Grant Pilot Committee for every funding grant opportunity there. Thank you so much, Daniel and Senyo, for joining us on this conversation. I think it was so insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Like, share, comment, post on social media and tell us what you learned on this episode. See you. Bye.